This is an irresistible story of seduction, betrayal, and a legacy written in blood, the Mafia Bride of İzmir, love, power, and poison. She walked down the aisle draped in silk and diamonds. To the world, it was a love story, a cabaret singer marrying one of Turkey's most powerful men. But behind her smile was a secret that could kill. In 1950s İzmir, a city of elegance and danger, she wasn't just a wife. She was an empire builder, a woman whose perfume could disarm ministers and whose poison could silence mafia kings. Her name? Lale Yılmaz. Her reputation? Untouchable. Her husband? Cengiz Yılmaz, the so-called gentleman of the underworld, and his death? Sudden, mysterious, unsolved. Some called it illness. Others whispered of poison, hidden in the same fragrance she wore every night. As sirens wailed through Alsancak and shadows deepened across the cordon, one question echoed louder than the rest. Did love kill Cengiz Yılmaz, or did his bride? This is not just a tale of romance gone wrong. This is a true story, buried in secrets, wrapped in silk, and soaked in blood. Welcome to the legend of the Mafia Bride of İzmir. It started with a wedding and ended in whispers of murder, betrayal, and a legacy drenched in blood and perfume. In the golden haze of the 1950s, İzmir was a city wrapped in elegance. Along the Cordon waterfront, where the Aegean breeze carried the scent of sea salt and blooming jasmine, one woman ruled the nightlife. Not with bullets or bribes, but with beauty, wealth, and whispered danger. Her name was Lale Yılmaz. To the public, she was the owner of the most luxurious perfumery in Alsancak, a place where politicians, wives, and nightclub singers brushed shoulders in velvet silence. But behind that intoxicating mask of sophistication, Lale was more than a businesswoman. She was the wife of Cengiz Yılmaz, the notorious crime boss who had unified the coastal smuggling routes of İzmir, Çeşme, and Kuşadası into a single empire. They called him the gentleman of the underworld, but they called her something even more chilling, the Mafia Bride of İzmir. The story of their marriage was already legend. Cengiz met Lale in 1948 during a police raid on a gambling den in Konak. She wasn't gambling, she was performing. A rising star of the İzmir cabaret scene, she had a voice like a siren and eyes that made men forget their sins. Cengiz didn't arrest her, he offered her protection. Weeks later, he proposed. Months later, she took over the books of his growing empire. But their union wasn't just romantic, it was strategic. With Lale's charm and Cengiz's firepower, they transformed their criminal operations into something far more dangerous. A respectable front, all hiding a web of extortion, bribery, and blackmail that stretched from İzmir to Istanbul. And yet, it was Lale who made the empire untouchable. In 1957, something changed. Cengiz began falling ill. At first, doctors suspected stress, then ulcers. But as his weight dropped and his skin yellowed, darker suspicions emerged. He died in his sleep one summer night. The official cause, liver failure. But whispers spread quickly through Alsancak's narrow alleys. She poisoned him. The rumors were fed by a single piece of evidence, never officially released, but leaked by a retired detective decades later. A vial of cyanide-laced perfume found in Lale's personal drawer. But here's the twist. No charges were filed, no arrest, no trial. Why? Because Cengiz's death made Lale the sole inheritor of a vast fortune and a criminal empire. Following Cengiz's death, Lale didn't mourn in public. She expanded. She opened 2 more shops. She began investing in land outside İzmir. More shockingly, she began attending high society events in Ankara, rubbing shoulders with politicians and military elites. It was as if, with her husband dead, she had finally stepped into the role she'd been preparing for all along, not just the bride, the boss, One police commissioner described her off-record as the most dangerous woman in the country, but without witnesses and with every trace of her past sanitized through careful connections, Lale was untouchable. Then, in 1961, her driver vanished. He was last seen leaving the Karşıyaka ferry terminal, heading toward one of Lale's warehouses. He never arrived. His body was found 2 weeks later in the Gediz River, hands bound, tongue cut out. The message was clear: someone had talked. And just like that, the empire began to fracture. New mafia groups rose, old enemies resurfaced, and Lale, once the untouchable queen, began to fade from public view. By 1965, her shops were shuttered, her estate was sold. Some say she moved to Switzerland. Others claim she died in a private clinic in Manisa under a different name. Today, Lale Yılmaz is a ghost, her name almost erased from the official record, her legacy scattered in rumors and half-truths. But in Izmir's old neighborhoods, among the peeling walls and echoing courtyards, you'll still hear her story, told in whispers, in perfume, in warnings. A tale of love turned lethal, power wielded in heels, and a woman who may have murdered her way to freedom, then vanished. The haunting tale of the Mafia Bride of İzmir offers several chilling but powerful lessons. 1. Power without accountability is dangerous, even seductive. Lale Yılmaz used charm, intelligence and beauty to rise through the criminal world without ever pulling a trigger. Her power came not from brute force, but from influence, secrets and manipulation. In environments where no one questions power, silence becomes the deadliest weapon. 2. Love mixed with ambition can be a lethal cocktail. Their marriage began with passion and partnership, but when love turns into strategy and strategy turns into survival, even the closest bonds can become fatal. The line between loyalty and betrayal is razor thin when wealth, legacy, and criminal empires are at stake. 3. Not all poison is swallowed, some is inhaled through charm, whispers, and lies. This story reminds us that evil often wears a beautiful face. The most dangerous threats aren't always loud or obvious. They can come in perfume bottles and silk gloves. The true villain isn't always the one holding the gun. Sometimes it's the one pouring the drink. 4. History often hides powerful women, especially when they're dangerous. Lale's legacy was nearly erased, not because she was irrelevant, but because she was feared. The absence of her name from records is its own proof of power. Her story reveals how history often silences women who break rules, wield influence, or outsmart men in their own world. 5. Truth doesn't die. It just waits to be uncovered. Decades after the events, Lale Yılmaz's story still grips us. Why? Because truth, especially buried truth, has a way of rising. And stories like hers, once uncovered, force us to ask uncomfortable questions about justice, memory, and what we choose to forget. She wore love like a veil, but ruled with poison in her breath. In a world built by men, she rewrote the rules and vanished before they could catch her. Some queens wear crowns, others leave no fingerprints. If you found this story as haunting as we did, make sure to subscribe for more forgotten crimes, twisted love stories, and true mysteries that shaped Turkey. Who do you think really killed Cengiz Yılmaz? Was it love or ambition? Let us know in the comments.